Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. So glad to have you with me this evening, a little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast, and it's Saturday, and I am here. Why in the world would I be here on a Saturday at 7 p.m. during a long holiday weekend, or maybe a long weekend or something? Why? Because I need to keep doing this because I'll go crazy. Maybe that's the reason. I'll say because I'll go crazy. That sounds amazing. But anyway, I am here, and it is an AMA. Now, why would this be an AMA? It's an AMA because I haven't done one in a week, and I've been out for a couple of days, and people probably have a lot of questions they want to ask. So I want to open it up to more and more questions that you guys can have chats and chat about things you want. But as always, I started on something that I think is interesting, or that's bugging me, or that I think that people should be talking about. Any of those things, I'm okay with any of them. And the one I wanted to start with was what's happening right now in Syria. Now, most people would say, Larry, you tend to talk much more about domestic issues. Very true. I tend to. In fact, I often talk a whole lot about even New York local issues. Even that's true. Very, very, very common. However, this one matters, and again, it matters tremendously because of what other people are thinking. All right, so let me give you, for those of you who don't know, who aren't paying attention, right after, and I mean like right after, the Israelis and the H people in Lebanon, not those in Gaza, the H people in Lebanon who are backed by Iran, they made a ceasefire. You might go, well, wow, that sounds crazy. Why would they do a ceasefire? Why? And I warned you of this. I told you that Israel would push hard to get their buffer zone and then stop. And their worry is there will be an end to the war in Ukraine, and then those people will rush down. And I remember I told you this months ago. I said, this is, if you are, I'm not judging Israel at all. All I'm saying is, if you are Israel and you want a buffer zone, now is your time. Do it now before stuff happens. And I warned you that there will be drones coming in from Ukraine and Russia. Remember all those things I said? Yes. And we see it right now because what happened is they agreed to a ceasefire. Again, if I'm Israel, smart move. You see there are sporadic breaks, but nothing major at all. One of the reasons why the H people in Lebanon said yes to it, there are many reasons, but one of them was they took a lot of casualties. They fought hard and trying to hold the Israeli army off, and the Israelis threw everything they had at them. The Israelis threw everything they could possibly throw at them. The Israelis emptied a lot of stuff and put a lot of aggressiveness against them, and they did, and it worked very well. They took a lot of hits, and so much so, people didn't know this, that they pulled a bunch of their people out of Syria. So a bunch of the H people came out of Syria to fight in Lebanon to stop the Israeli assaults, right? And they did to a certain extent. Putting enough bodies there did slow the Israeli army down a bit. It did, not enough, but it did slow them out a bit. Some of it worked, but the casualties it took were huge. But it's a second piece. And I mentioned again, I say this because I tell you these things in advance before we see them and then it wound up happening. I told you that the attacks upon the leadership of Hezbollah, I'll say it once, hopefully it won't be that bad, the H people in Lebanon, was serious, that it was a serious attack. It did serious damage, and it broke up a lot of the coordination. It doesn't stop the fighting because much of the fighting is done at the local level within small cells. You don't require leadership to hold your ground against the IDF. So you can still hold your ground against the IDF without leadership, but you can't coordinate. Now, the IDF can coordinate like there's no tomorrow. These people in Lebanon couldn't coordinate because their leadership was destroyed. They could hold their ground and fight because they knew that. They're in small groups, easily done, but they weren't able to coordinate. So, of course, the victory becomes the IDF. They pushed most of them back, and H is prepared to retreat. Well, here's the problem. Many of them left Syria and got beat up in Lebanon, and many of them got tore up. When the leadership got tore up in Lebanon. So leadership was broken, coordination broken, bodies leave Syria. Not just that. Well, a whole bunch of attacks by both the Israelis and the Americans against Iran, also hurting their leadership in Syria, also there. Not just that. There's a lot of Russian generals in Syria, tons of them. There's also units in Syria and Americans too. Well, the best units aren't in Syria anymore. The best Russian units are either in Western Africa, as I told you, or in Ukraine. The best generals, not in Syria. They're in Ukraine now. You see what the Russians are in Ukraine. So the Russians kind of had like their second string, third string sitting in Syria. By the way, the Russians have already taken casualties already in Syria. Yes, Russians have already taken casualties in Syria. So their second and third string sitting in Syria. H, which is some of the most elite ground forces that Syria has, is or was in Lebanon, getting really hurt badly by the IDF. I mean, they took serious casualties, more than I thought they would. I mean, I was surprised how much. I guess no coordination, to just sit there and fight. They got hammered horribly, right, in there. So now all of a sudden, this comes up, and now Turkey says, wait a minute, I don't know what I want anymore. Erdogan goes, I don't know what I want anymore. And so the people, the rebels in Syria go, oh, we can attack now. Awesome. They prep and they attack, and that's what began to happen. I'll give you a quick map. It's an older map I'm going to show you, but the map actually works perfectly, because what actually happened, see if I can show this to you. Yes, there we go. Can you guys see that map? That's the map of the Syrian war. This, by the way, is 2020, right? 2020. That's this map. This area here, if you can see my cursor in that blue, this area is actually American held. Yes, American held. There are over 1,000 American soldiers sitting there helping out the Kurds. Now, here's going to be the hard part about the Kurds and about us. You're not going to like this part when I tell you this part. The Kurds and us are hanging out up here, right? This is really a mix. This area here, that is the tan, that is controlled by Assad. Now, Assad was the bad guy, the butcher, the terrible guy that we were all going to get rid of, that nobody can get rid of. Why couldn't we get rid of him? They might go, wait a minute, this guy's a bad guy. He's a dictator. Yes, but he's stability. That sounds insane. I know you're like, all right, he's stability. He is. In this world right now, Assad is stability. Yes. The Israelis no longer want to get rid of Assad. Like, Assad, we'll take him. It's fine. We'll take him. We'll take Assad. It's fine. The Israelis aren't mad at Assad anymore. Like, it's fine. It's good. Even Erdogan, who will put time, money, and energy into getting rid of Assad, is like, you know what? Maybe I'm going to leave it alone. You might say, why? Well, let me give you a brief history. I won't go too crazy. What actually happened here is there's like 8 factions fighting each other. Kind of in a way helping each other, kind of fighting each other. Okay, the blue part, that's Kurds. Kurds are the only people everybody hates. If you're Kurdish, I'm sorry to say it, but you know it's true. Kurds are the one thing that everybody hates. Everybody hates the Kurds. The Turks hate the Kurds. Why? There's like 10 million Kurdish people in Turkey right now, giving them trouble. The Iranians hate the Kurds. Why? There's like 8 million Kurds in Iran right now. The Iraqis hate the Kurds. There's like 6 million Kurds in Iraq. They're all over the place, right? They're all over the place. They don't have their own country. When we took over and started drawing lines, we forgot about the Kurds. They got completely screwed. They basically are in 4 separate countries, don't have their own country, but they're prepared to fight to help out. So we wanted to get rid of the other people who everybody hated, which was the Islamic State. Everybody hated the Islamic State. So remember when they had their own little country they had for a while after the Arab Spring? That country was in Syria. That's the reason we all got together to fight them. Literally, Kurds fought them, Assad fought them, we fought them, the Russians fought them, the Turks fought them. Everybody fought them. So for like a year, we were all on the same side, which made everything crazy because we also hated each other. So what ended up happening is this becomes basically autonomous Kurdish state, kind of ish, not really, but kind of ish, backed by Americans. There's about 1,000 or so American troops in that blue area. In the red areas to the north, that's the Turks who walked in. The Turks walked in and went, hey, we want a buffer zone, as the Israelis wanted, and we're just going to take it because we're a big Turkish army, and if you get in our way, we'll just shoot you. And we went, okay, and they walked away. Now, the rebels who were fighting against Assad, half of them hated the Islamic State. Half of them didn't. The half that didn't hate the Islamic State stayed with them and got crushed. And about it didn't, ran off to the west part of Aleppo, and that's that red area you see here, right? They're now called the HTS, which is Hayat Teraz al-Sam or al-Sham, I think. HTS is there. Those are the guys who attacked. They're backed by the Turks. Okay, completely disaster, I know. Why do we care? I know it's a disaster. Why do we care? If you remember, I told you a long time ago, months ago again, what my biggest worry was. My biggest worry was the Turks would join the Iranians against Israel. That was my biggest worry for Israel. Why? If you look at my little map here, you see Turkey's here, you see Iran's here, and the thing that gets all the stuff in is right here through Syria. This is the way that they would crush Israel, right here through Syria, if it was going to happen. Now, the Turks are not thinking anymore. They're like, no. We would just like some stability. Why would they want stability? Why does Erdogan care? Here's the next problem Erdogan has, the leader of Turkey. There are about 4 million Syrian refugees sitting in Turkey, sucking up his time, money, and everything else. Yes, he wants them out. He wants to throw all 4 million back into Syria. That's what he wants. So that's the issue. That is the concern. So now he's like, Assad, we're good. We're good, Assad. No worries. We're good. So if Assad stays in power, here's the problem of all of this. If Assad agrees to not support Lebanon, if he agrees to keep the Turks and Iranians neutral and he agrees to stop the fight, if he does, and he will, because Assad, while he doesn't like Israel, cares about himself being in power over everything else and will do whatever the Turks say or whatever the Russians say or whatever the Iranians say to stay in power, no matter what he would think that. So he's like, fine, yep, okay, yeah. I just got to, okay, sure. He's fine, whatever. Who has to go in this scenario? Only one group of people have to go. The ones that we support, the Kurds. This is the problem. Already, when HTS came across the border to fight in Aleppo, they killed Russians because Russians and Iranians both support Assad. Russians and Iranians support the tan. Americans support the blue. If Assad takes control and or fights against the Kurds, if the Turks fight against the Kurds, America has to pack up and leave, and the Kurds get screwed. That happened to them before in the 90s. When we told them that if they fought in Iraq, we'd support them, and George H.W. Bush screwed them over, and Saddam Hussein gassed them and destroyed them. Yeah, that happened last time. So yet again, we are supporting the Kurds, and what I'm worried about is we will just pack up and leave. Now, Trump did that once before. Yes, Trump did it already. It was 2020 or 2019, whatever, to keep that red area up top. Yeah, that was controlled by Americans. This area right here, this part was controlled by Americans. Then we just walked away, and the Turks just took it. Remember I said they just walked in and said we have a bigger army? They just did that. And they killed Kurds to get it because we just went, well, we're going to leave. Trump left before. Trump might leave again. If Trump packs up and leaves, the Kurds are screwed. The Iranians, the Turks, and the Syrians under Assad will crush the Kurds. They will be destroyed. Millions will die, and they can't flee. Here's the reason why they can't flee. The Iranians don't want any more of them. They already have 8 million. The Iraqis don't want any more. They have like 5 or 6 million. The Turks don't want any more of them. They have 10 million or 8 million, whatever they have. They all have millions of them. They don't want any more. So there's the problem. That is my worry. Americans may pack up and leave and screw the Kurds again, and this is what it may end up with. I'm not just done with that. I got one more piece I got to bring up. Already in Syria, drones. Already drones. CAS, also known as close air support, used to be taken care of by either helicopters or fighter airplanes or jets, something like that. Used to be back in the day. Not anymore. Close air support is basically drones. That's what close air support is. It's been mastered in Ukraine. We saw it already just the other day outside of Aleppo. Drones being used to take Aleppo to fight. They haven't captured Aleppo yet, but to fight in Aleppo. Where do you see it? That's a problem. And once that Ukraine war ends, they're going to rush here. And here's the next piece I'll add. Putin is the one, believe it or not, who is trying to create peace now down here. Yes, the Russians are trying to negotiate peace down here, right? The Chinese try to negotiate peace with Iran and Saudi Arabia. The Russians are trying, if they can, to negotiate peace between Turkey and Syria and Iran, trying to create peace there. Who's going to be thrown out? United States and the Kurds. That's going to be thrown out. That is my worry. This is where this can explode. Because what if they decide they're going to push the Kurds out? And what if Trump says, I'm not leaving dead Americans in Syria? What if Trump says, all right, fine, I don't care, yeah. You know what? What if Trump negotiates and says, you know what? You make me look good in Ukraine, Putin. I'll make you look good in Syria. What if that's Trump's deal? I have no information to know if that's true or not. I'm just saying, let's assume for a moment that that kind of thing happens. I'll make you look good in Syria. I'll pull out, you win. You make me look good in Ukraine. And they go, okay, done and done. What if that happens? This is not going to end well. That is why I think this is important. If we don't leave, we could find ourselves fighting in Syria, because once Americans get killed and or captured in Syria, then we're involved. But now what if we don't and we leave? We've screwed the Kurds over, and we've supported literally all the dictators. The dictator in Turkey, the dictator in Syria, the dictators, however you want to count them, in Iran. We've just supported dictators to get a peace in Ukraine. Boy, have we put ourselves in a crap situation yet again. All right, I hope I didn't give you guys too much of that, but this is why I think it does matter. I'm hoping, sadly, that no matter what it is, it's a loss for us in any way, shape, or form, but I'd rather have peace than anything else. I think this is a huge win for Israel. This will ensure that Hezbollah will have no chance of pushing them out of Lebanon at all. None. Zero chance of that happening. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt all types of supplies coming across Syria into Lebanon and even into Gaza, into all occupied territory. It's just a big win for Israel more than anybody else. If you're a supporter of Israel, this is a big win for you. If you're mad at Israel, big loss for you. Whatever you feel. But yeah, that's what I think this is going. I'm hoping, again, we don't get trapped. I hope I gave you some information on that one. I'm going to grab a couple of comments on this and go through the AMA, but I want to start with something to get us going. So yes. Vivek, how are you, my friend? You jumped on the board right away, didn't you? Talk about Ukraine as well. What do you think of land to Russia for NATO membership that Zelensky offered? Some of you don't know this. But now we're talking. Now Zelensky's like, you know what? Russia, you can keep the land. Can we be in NATO? Now, I don't think it's going to happen, but I mean, now even he's talking about it, right? Now he's talking about it. He's like, look, we can't get the land back. But look, don't underestimate Ukraine's ability to resist. Clearly, at this moment, Ukraine's losing this war. If anyone doesn't say that, they're not paying attention. Clearly they are. It doesn't mean they're finished, to be forward. It doesn't mean that it's over. It means they're losing the war now, it's in trouble, and they've got to change some stuff fast, or it will be over, right? Because they are losing right now. But Ukraine can still resist if it wants to. If America decides to give a bunch of money, if America decides to give a bunch of weapons, if Ukraine decides to draft, there is a chance that Ukraine can still resist. Ukraine basically has it's simplistic, but kind of true. It is basically two separate armies within Ukraine. Piece number one is an army that is very motivated and very well trained. And part two is not very motivated, not very well trained. Now, the sad part is whenever they have to make assaults, you can't make decent attacks with the untrained part of your army. So what do? They attack with the trained part of their army and then fill in the gaps with the untrained part. And then when the Russians counterattack or fight back, the untrained take heavy casualties. That's been a common thread. Here's the other sad part for some people who are unhappy with Ukraine. Many of those well-trained, well-equipped, motivated soldiers, they have a history of fascistness. Yes, they are those groups. Many of them, not all obviously, but many of them are. And some people get mad. They go, well, you can't give my... Look, if my country is in trouble and the loyalist people I got are those people who wear the armbands and they're prepared to fight hard and push the Russians back and give them the fight that I need, maybe I'm going to let them do that. That's all I'm saying. I'm just being honest, right? If it's me, I'm just being honest. Maybe I forget about the armband for now. Keep the armband. Just go back in the fight. Do what you got to do. Make the attack, take the building, take the city, go. I think that's what's happening. But already you see, the West is talking about stopping the battles and creating buffer zones. That's what's happening right now. And Putin's talking about keeping the land and getting And at first he told his first, if you remember, his first piece of it was he wanted reparations. Now he's open to the idea of simply ending sanctions. So Russia's talking about he will talk peace if we end sanctions. So even that negotiation is happening, right? I remember I'm going to tease Mike Voss because Mike Voss said it's going to be done by the time Trump takes office. I said it's not going to be done, and I stand by that because of all of this. There is so much negotiating that has to happen before you get a peace. Could there be a ceasefire by the time Trump takes office? Maybe. That I'm open to. But this takes a long time. Remember where they started. Ukraine started with Russia has to leave all the land. We're going to become NATO. That's where Ukraine started. That's not going to happen. Russia started with we're keeping the land and you're going to pay us reparations. That's not going to happen, right? So they started. They were out here, but to your point, Vivek, they're moving right to where they're going to find something. I don't know what that is, but they will find it. So I hope that answers your question. My worry is part of that negotiation, maybe the sacrifice of the Kurds. Right? They may use Syria, or in theory, West Africa, even in theory, to keep the French happy, because the French are pissed. So they may even pawn off West Africa as a part of the deal, because some people aren't going to care what happens in West Africa, what happens in Syria. They'll only care what happens in Ukraine, so they can win in one spot and lose in another and go back and forth. So I think that could happen too. Vivek says, Larry, we're grateful for you. Oh, thank you. Your straightforwardness and your work ethic. I hope your Thanksgiving was good, and hope all my fellow Sharpies had good Thanksgiving. Oh, that's so sweet. It was good. I had a great Thanksgiving with my family. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yes. All righty. Paul and Nix, how are you? Back in 2015, I saw dozens of photos. Al-Assad and his wife, they were visiting a convent, an orphanage on Christmas Day. It was the most beautiful, loving pictures. Huh. Okay. Paula goes on to say, do not gas his people. CIA lie. Oh, is that true? Look, to be forward, I don't know about this. This is something I don't know how that worked. So, Obama allowed ISIS to overthrow al-Assad. Yes. Putin sent troops to help kill ISIS. Also true. Everyone hated ISIS. It's true. Yes. So yeah, I definitely get that piece. 100%. Let me grab a super chat if I could. Lucha Libertarian, thank you for $2. Sensationalism, our new political party. Yeah. But that sells, brother. That sells, right? That absolutely sells. Guys, I'm going to ask, since we saw a super chat, if you like what you're hearing, if you think what I'm saying is making sense, making you think, if you think this conversation has value, and I'll get you questions and go back and forth. If you do, click the button known as like. Click on that button. Hip check it, punch it, smash it, drop kick it, whatever. As long as you click it, it doesn't matter. No matter what you're watching on. If you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, please share. In fact, if you're watching this and you are part of a Facebook group that you think might be interested in this, please share it into the Facebook group. Either share it from Twitter, share it from YouTube, share it from Facebook. I don't care. Share it into your Facebook group if you think people will care. It does matter. If you can subscribe, please do so. Follow me on Facebook. Super chats, as you see, go right to the front. We jump right on that. Become a member. Remember, I have member groups where you all come together on the show and talk. We did one just a couple days ago. If you want to do that, you can become a member. Click either on YouTube, either Sharpe Way or Larry Sharpe. $49 per month. Click that join. Keeps me going as much as I possibly can. We do a Sharpe Club with a bunch of people on it. You get to come in and chat with me and tell stupid jokes, which is kind of one of the coolest parts about doing this. So there we go. I hope that was good. All righty. Let me grab some more of these here. IC is teasing me. She says, good evening. And then she says, translation, Larry didn't do his homework. I see all I do is homework. Literally all I do. I'm both a business and political consultant. When I have work, I work directly with people, usually on the phone, but sometimes in person, often like this, in Zoom meetings and things of that sort. Whenever I'm not, all I'm doing is I'm either on the phone with somebody, watching a video, listening to somebody, or critiquing something. That's what I do. And I'm very often, I will spend hours on the phone with people who I know, asking questions, going back and forth, scolding them, scolding me back and forth, seeing what makes sense constantly. So my job is homework. I have to know stuff. Have you seen some of the stuff I do when I go on to I do a press hit, either I'm on TV or someone's podcast or a radio show. I do a lot of morning shows. And most of them are local. You probably unless you live in like Detroit or something. I do a lot of local morning radio. Like I do a Detroit morning radio show, Rochester radio show, morning radio show, Oregon, Portland, Vegas. I'll do a morning show, and I'll do like a 12-minute hit, and they'll ask me all kind of questions. So I have to be able to answer them. So I spend a lot of time doing homework. So I wish I didn't do my homework. I wish I just laid around, didn't do any homework. That would be amazing. So I appreciate that. All right, let me grab a couple more of these if I could. All righty. Dave says Zelensky's offering a trade for America. Yes, it just came out. Yes, just came out. 100%. Yes. Paula says, I'm interested to hear what the Associated Press, CIA are reporting. Here's the reality. You're not going to hear much out of it right now. You're not. I brought it up because I'm looking and listening. I've been talking about this for a long time. I knew Syria was a big deal. People were saying, well, Syria is going to help and, attack Israel. It's not. Syria is in no position to make assaults. Syria is in position to do only one thing, be a trade route. It's a supply route. That's what Syria can do. It is no position to do anything except become a supply route. But it's a critical supply route, which now is getting trashed. So yeah, you won't hear much until the reason why you won't hear much, Paula, is because this is not a black and white war. It's not like, oh, well, the Russians are on side A, Ukrainians are on side B, Hamas on side A, IDF on side B. No, that's not what this is. These are all factions, even amongst themselves. So it's not easy. And we support different sides, different times. The Turks have supported different sides, different times. The Russians have supported different sides, different times. So it's even a swap within sides. So this is a disaster. And I think they see it. And this is why people are like, let's bring back Assad. Assad, whether you like Assad or not, whatever your personal views upon him was, when the Assad regime was in control, it was far more stable than it is now. And the leaders in the local area, they don't care whether the Syrian people themselves are that happy or not. They would like some stability, right? Turkey wants stability. Turkey doesn't want 4 million Syrians in their country. Well, you got to make Syria stable so you can shove all 4 million back. And Iraq is, how stable is Iraq? Not. Iran has its own problems too. So they would like some stability in their area. And if that means we got to put Assad in power and get rid of the Kurds, oh, well, that's what I think. So I could be wrong on that. But I've been right a lot on these. Just saying. I don't know. So, all righty. Let me grab a couple more of these again. Dave goes on to say, you got to stop them at the beginning, like they should have stopped the H-man at Munich. They should have never let him get away with that. They just asked him big trouble. Peter Clemenza. People always say that, right? But the problem is, this is my problem with this, Dave, is they make everybody him, right? They always make he's Hitler. Okay, no. The H-man was the H-man. Everybody I don't like can't be Hitler. That's not how that works. That is my concern now. Is it possible that you're right in this case, Dave? Maybe, but we call everybody that. So we should stop everybody from wanting anything, from making any demands outside the normal, from wanting anything that the establishment deems correct. Everybody is that guy. That's what we're doing. All people who want their own state or their own thing or something, they're all that guy. We're too fast to call everybody the H-man. And this is my issue. Now, again, could we make a mistake and let another H-man go by? Yeah, but everybody was. Saddam was. Assad is. Obama was. Trump is. Everybody is. I say, wait till they show you that they are. I know it sounds horrible, but it's called innocent until proven guilty. I'm not okay with it because everybody is. That's my issue. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Dan says, Larry, wasn't the U.S. funding both Assad and Syrian rebels? I'm not sure. Yes. That's accurate. Yes, 100%. There's a saying in the libertarian world, which is, if you want to know who our next enemy is, just look who we're funding now. That's our next enemy. Because we fund both sides all the time. It is the thing, Dan. It's what we do. It's what we do. So, yes. Mike, who was on the panel, says, enjoy the topics we discussed in the panel. Thank you. I'm glad you came here. Absolutely. Thank you. Yes. Instant says, Larry cares about people. Oh, thank you. I hope that wasn't sarcastic. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. If it was sarcastic, I'm going to take it seriously. So I don't care if it was sarcastic. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yes. Over on Rumble, I'm hoping to say it right. Americua says Syria equals quagmire. Yes. And this is a problem. America has had forces in Syria for what is it, over a decade now? Am I about right? I wish Mike Voss was on. He would know. I think it's been about a decade, if I'm not mistaken. 2014? No, maybe. Maybe since the Islamic State, which I think ended in 2014. Anyway, about 10 years, give or take. Russians have been in longer than us, right? So they're here. It's a quagmire for both of us. And if there's literally a DMZ. The Euphrates River is basically the dividing line between kind of the Kurdistan, if you would call it that. I don't know what you would call it, Kurdish Syria, whatever you call it, and then main Syria, whatever you would call it. It's basically that river. Do we then create another Vietnam, another Korean War, another Vietnam War? I sure hope not. So yes, I sure hope not. So James says the biggest problem with the peace through strength strategy is there must always be an enemy. After all, what would the point of there being a Batman if there's no Joker? Yes, or maybe yes, but. Sometimes there is a Joker that makes any sense. But the problem, I'll go back to what I was about, Dave. Most of the time, they're not Jokers. We make them a Joker. We say they're a Joker when they're just some guy or some gal who wants something for their country or who wants power for themselves. They're not always the Joker. Remember, the thing about the Joker that makes the Joker special. If you remember the movie The Dark Knight, it's what Alfred says. He says, some people just want to watch the world burn. That's the Joker, right? He just wants, his words, I'm an agent of chaos, right? Assad is not that. Neither is Erdogan. Neither is Putin. Neither is Xi. None of these people are Jokers. They don't just want chaos. They're not just trying to watch the world burn. They want something specific, right? So it's a different way of looking at things that makes any sense. So yes, but doesn't mean I want to be weak either. So it does not mean I want to be weak, but I don't want to make everybody the Joker. And this is what we keep doing. We keep making them caricatures, right? And you see it even if I talk about the Ukraine war and I don't openly go, and Putin's evil and terrible, and I don't openly do that, I always get Putin puppet. You're Putin puppet. You spread propaganda. That's making him the Joker. And he's not. I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm not defending him, but he's not the H-man. He's not the Joker. So, James, I'm with you on that. At the same time, I don't want to be weak. Roy's point, being Batman prevents a lot of Jokers from trying. I don't know. They've been trying, Roy. Russia invaded. They're fighting in Syria. We were Batman. We've been Batman since 1945. I mean, Kim Il-sung, 1950. He tried. Right? Ho Chi Minh tried and won. 1960s. When did we officially become? Was it 65? We officially became the war officially. Was it 65? 65. Ho Chi Minh tried. Won. Right? Osama bin Laden tried. Arguably also won. The Afghanis, they won too. I don't know. People, there's a lot of Jokers trying. Being Batman ain't working. Remember something, we haven't won a war since 1945. And we've been being at war for a long time. So I'm not sure that I'm not saying be weak, but I don't see it working. I mean, we act like it's working, but I don't see it working. Yeah, you'd ask the families of the 7,000 dead from Iraq. No, I'm sorry, more than that, right? Yeah, it's 8,000 dead from Iraq. And how many 10,000 wounded from Iraq? They're not going to say Batman working. All the people in Afghanistan, we walked away. It took us 20 years and $1 trillion to replace the Taliban with a more powerful Taliban, with a better armed Taliban, with a more bloodied, stronger military Taliban. Batman ain't working, Roy. It's not working. So I don't know. So Dave says Assad is the less of all the evils. I think you're right, Dave. I'm trying to not be flippant. I'm being real. I think when you have Erdogan, is it Khomeini now? Khomeini? I forgot the guy who's the name of the Iran. I think it's Khomeini. And now you got Putin, all three going, you know what, this Assad guy, not so bad. when you got all of them, and when you got the Israelis, when you got Netanyahu going, Assad, you know what? Not so bad. Like you got all of them going, not so bad. Dave, I think you're right. Just being and America's not fighting him. America's like, yeah, maybe. What are we gonna do? I think you're right. One thing Assad has, which is amazing, is staying power. This guy's like this, my country. I mean, he almost lost his country to ISIS. Remember that? Almost lost his country to Islamic State. Every group falls, not him. That dude's got staying power. He's like, this is my country. I'm keeping it. My daddy took this country, gave it to me. Mine. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. So, yes. All righty. Let me see here. Kim says, seeing headlines, World War III has begun. I don't think that's true yet. I do think that everybody sees it, Kim. Thank you for being a member, by the way, Kim. I think everybody sees it. And I think most leaders don't want it. To be forward, Russia is currently beating Ukraine. That's true. But Russia is not easily winning. Russia is fighting for this. They are losing people. They are losing treasure. They are losing blood. They are losing things to win this war. Just because they're winning the war doesn't mean it's easy for them. I'm sure that if Putin could end this now and look good, he'd do it tomorrow. If he can get the thing that makes him look good, he's got to look good because that matters to him. His personal power matters more than anything. If he could look good and end it tomorrow, he would do it tomorrow. He doesn't want more Russians dying. He doesn't want more money thrown to this thing. He doesn't want more of that. Look, one of the reasons why the HTS could actually get across and attack Aleppo is because the Russians, as I said, got third string sitting in Syria. They got third string. All they have is an air force. Now, why do they have an air force in Syria? Why is it Russia doing airstrikes in Syria? Because you can't do much of them in Ukraine. Because your air force gets shot down in Ukraine. And there's no place to do your planes in Western Africa. You can't really use an air force very well in Western Africa because of the terrain. So where can you use your air force? In the goddamn deserts of Syria. Perfect. Right? Perfect. But now drones have already got there. Once drones come into this area, Air Force gets put to the side. Close air support is done by drones now. It's not done by Air Force anymore. Well, won't be soon. And again, kudos to the IDF for making the attack in Lebanon, getting their buffer zone before the drones even came. Kudos to them. You can be mad at them, but it's true. Yes, absolutely. All righty. Roy says, Batman's own story, deterrence doesn't make headlines, but does make peace. We've been at war since 1945, Roy. It's not peace. That's not peace. It's not World War III. That's true. But before World War I, right, from World War I, from 1914 to 1945 was basically one war. It's two, but it's one, right? It was the war for German hegemony, right? How many German-speaking countries will there be, and will Germany dominate Europe or not? That's what that 30-year period was. Prior to the 30-year period, we hadn't had a world war in 200 years. Last world war before that was what? 7 years war? Is that the last world war? 7 years war? I mean, unless if you count Napoleonic Wars, if you count that as a world war, okay, so 100 years. If you don't count that, 150 years, 200 years, whatever, we haven't had a world war. So we don't have to have a world war every 5 years. Maybe another 100 years. Does have to happen. So, yeah. Mike Voss is in the house. Okay. The PKK are the problem of Kurds, the next big terror group funded by U.S., hated by Turkey. And yeah, this is Mike's correct. The PKK is the Kurds. However, they also fight alongside of Syrians. They're also funded by the U.S. and they're Kurds, so they're hated by everybody. He's right. They can't stand them. You're exactly right. They're the ones who think they're going to be screwed. Yes. So Roy says Hezbollah didn't come to the table in face of weakness, but in face of strength. Agreed. Yeah, 100%. You're right. Agreed. But they still started the fight anyway. But yeah, but they did. You're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you need to be weak. All right. Let's see here. Grab a couple more of these here. Midwest K-Mix says, do you think that if this is first turn to World War III scale conflict, the American empire will want to expand land? Okay. America will expand, but not in conquest. America will expand in military bases. So yes, right. America needs to have a reason to have bases because most Americans are going, why do we have bases all over the place? They don't get it. Most Americans don't. We have bases in what? We have, I think, 700 bases. Is that about right? 800 bases in like 100 some odd countries, something like that, whatever the number is. So no, I don't think America will physically conquer. I don't think so. It hasn't been America's stance in 100 years. Not a thing we do, but we put bases in places. So we control through military dominance, but not through conquest. That will happen. For example, if we go into Syria, we do have a couple bases in the area. You still have some bases in Iraq. We still have some. We have a base in Syria too. We'll just have a bunch of bases in the area. And the problem is, you put bases in those areas. Iran is already unhappy. Turkey's already unhappy, right? It is the wrong answer. So yes. All righty. Let's see here. Dark clouds of the mind. So Larry, what do you see as a long-term solution? Okay, I'll give you what should happen and then what I think will happen. What should happen is the Kurds should get their own homeland. That's not going to happen. That's fantasy, Larry Sharpe fantasy world. That's not going to happen. That's what should happen. A real long-term solution is a Kurdish homeland that we should have put into place, we meaning Western powers, 1945. We should have put that into power. 1945, 1920 we could have done. We could have done after World War I, but we were so worried about keeping our colonies, we wouldn't do it. Kurdistan should exist as a nation. That's Larry Sharpe fantasy world. But you asked what would be a long-term solution. If we actually cared about this area and about people's right to self-determination, we don't. But if we did, the answer is a Kurdish homeland. Even if it was smaller than they wanted, even if they gave up each country of a little bit of land, again, this is my fantasy world because you asked. It's not going to happen. But Iraq gives up a little bit of land. Iran gives up a little bit of land. Turkey gives up a little bit of land. Syria gives up a lot of land. And you move all the Kurds into that area. They crumble in there. They find their own answers. Kurdish homeland. Okay, now they're out of my fantasy world because that's not going to happen. They're not going to give up any land. They're not going to do that. No one cares about the Kurds except us at the moment, and we screwed them too. The actual long-term solution is Assad's back in power. I hate saying that, but that's it. He's back in power. That's it. He's back in power. He gets back in power. They give the Kurds some type of semi-autonomous region, right, where they kind of have power but kind of don't. And Americans or UN or NATO or whatever will put some troops there so that they don't get crushed. And this will explode 30 years from now in some way, shape, or form, like Hong Kong or something. That's the actual long-term solution. What I want is not going to happen, but will be the actual answer. But what will happen is they'll have some form of semi-autonomous agreement in some way, shape, or form, probably after a short war against them, which they'll be completely overwhelmed, and then they'll make some kind of deal. That's what I think. So, any case. Gene says, Johnson may not have known what Aleppo is, but at least he wouldn't have bombed Syria. Always say you can't bomb a place you don't wear it. You don't wear it what it is. I can't bomb what I don't know. So Gary Johnson would have no troops in Kurdistan. There'd be no Americans in the area. What would happen? What happened? Yes. Mike says, Larry, these other countries are still afraid of what Trump will do. So don't see an intense escalation in the next 4 years. Look at what was done to ISIS Caliphate. Salami, tough talk with Taliban. Yes, okay. This is what I was talking about last week, Mike, which still bothers me. And that is, I think you're right. They don't know. And right now, Trump has no official power. Obviously, he has influence, but he has no official power right now. So this is the end of World War I. This is everybody jockeying for position. This is musical chairs with bodies, with dead people, with people killing. Everybody jockeying for position until the music stops. Everybody knows Trump wants to end this, right? That's for sure. Now, sadly, and again, I know some of you think Trump's going to magically end it. He does have to fight the military-industrial complex. This is not going to be an easy task for him. I think this will still take months. There are a whole lot of people who still want these wars to keep going. Lots of them. They want the war to keep going. They don't want to stop at all. He will have to fight them. Not saying he can't do it. I'm saying not easy. And he may lose some battles along the way. Trump may lose here or there, right? He may blow this, blow that, have to give something up, make a trade. This is still politics, and people make the military-industrial complex is a multi-billion-dollar, world. That's not going away because I'm mad. It's not. So yes, and remember the caliphate wasn't taken by America. That was my point earlier. Everybody hated them. We were at one point all on the same side. Turks, Russians, Iranians, Americans, and Assad all wanted to get rid of the caliphate. They had no chance. Of course. It wasn't just Trump. I'm giving Trump his due, yes, but it wasn't just him. They all wanted to get rid of them. And they did. And what happened? Now they're still fighting. They hate each other. They all hated each other. They just hated ISIS more. So they get rid of ISIS, and now they're fighting each other. So, yeah, I don't think it's that as easy as you say is what I'm saying. So, yes. All righty. Let's see here. Mike says that tit of tat with Ukraine won't work. Ukraine is worth far more in all calculations. But yes, Obama created a problem and Biden doubled down, dumping troops from Syria on his first day in 2021. I'm not sure that's true, Mike, because there are other things to play here, right? It isn't just Syria. It is China's having trouble in Africa right now. That's actually in Eastern Africa. Western Africa, the French are getting their butt kicked, and the Russians are in Western Africa right now. America's kicked out of Western Africa right now. East Africa, the Chinese are having trouble, right? Because they have no way of collecting their debts. So they're having trouble now with debt. There's a lot of stuff that could be rolled all over the place, right? Ukraine's important. I'm not saying it's not, but Ukraine is important in everybody's eyes, not just Putin's. Our eyes, everybody's eyes. Ukraine's important in everybody's eyes. So somehow you got to be able to negotiate somewhere. I can see negotiations in Syria. I can see negotiations in Israel, negotiations in East Africa, West Africa. I can see negotiations over Taiwan even, making all this coming together into one like massive, instead of it won't be one big treaty, it'll be like 7 different agreements that will equal a treaty. So I think it can work. I think you're saying it's, I'm not saying you're wrong in that it's valuable. It is. But Putin wants peace too, right? Again, he's currently winning. It doesn't mean that automatically the Ukrainians don't counterattack and do something that makes it last longer, right? Unless America actually jumps on board 100%, Russia will eventually win this war. That's true. But will they win a war in 6 days or 6 years or 6 months? If I'm Putin, I want 6 days. I don't want 6 years, right? Eventually they will, unless America jumps 100%, Russia's going to eventually win this war. But it doesn't mean that Ukrainians won't counterattack, take land back, push back again, hold on. Again, Ukraine has a lot of units that are terrible and are collapsing, and also a lot of units that will stand and fight. And we've seen it, and will actually counterattack, and will take land back. Ukraine has, like I said, kind of 2 armies, right? And when their stronger aspects can still do damage to Russians, and do. So, I don't know, man. I think I could see it either way. So he goes on to say, Ukraine wouldn't be part of NATO, Russia never agree. I'm not saying that. I'm going to be clear. I hope I didn't say that. What I was saying is that's where they are now in the negotiations. They're not going to happen, but you see them doing this, and they're coming to a spot where it's going to be. I think you're right. There's going to be no, yes. I don't see them being there. I agree, but that's where they're moving. And this is my point. The negotiations aren't even close to done yet. They just aren't. So yes. America over at Rumble says, a real World War III will be over before most folks know it has started. I don't think that's true. And I think Ukraine has proven that to be true. I think it's proven to be true. This could have been a war of all types of WMDs, and it's not. It's basically become World War I. And there are hundreds of thousands of casualties on both sides. Who knows how many? But surely hundreds of thousands on both sides of casualties, dead and wounded. Hundreds of thousands. And it still has not fallen into WMDs. 3 years, not WMDs. I don't think so. I think we could find ourselves fighting conventional war for a long time. Nobody wanted to do the dirty work, that piece. I don't think so. So, yeah. Anyway. All righty. Let me see if I can go down here again, get a couple more of these. So, all righty. Mike says, it's tough for Ukraine long term. We have to stop Democrats' precedents that when Putin does his damage. That's funny. There was it Henry Kissinger who said it's bad being America's enemy, but it's horrible being our ally. Like that's the worst, right? That's the worst, being our ally. Yeah, we used Afghanistan, destroyed it. We used Iraq, destroyed it. We used Vietnam, destroyed it. We used Korea, didn't destroy it, but almost did. We're using Ukraine and destroying it. Yeah, I think you're right. We're destroying it. So Stram says, Stray Dan says over on Rumble, do you get monetized for this platform? Yes. Yes. So if you watch on Rumble and ads pop up, I get like 3 cents or whatever it is. I forgot what it is. But yeah, so yes. So yes, absolutely. Liberty Lady says, Larry, how was your Thanksgiving? What kind of stuff did you do while your daughters were visiting? Well, my oldest daughter now is out of college. So that's awesome. So I'm happy that she was here. We had believe it or not, my daughter cooked, and she cooked a keto dinner, a total keto dinner. We had turkey, which obviously is by default already. She made keto stuffing with keto bread. We had keto apple pie using zucchini and some flavoring, and a keto crust made out of, I forgot, almond flour, whatever she made it out of. Yeah, something like that. We had keto potatoes, which is made out of cauliflower, and that's right. Yep. Keto gravy and keto cranberry sauce. Yes. So we had a full keto Thanksgiving dinner that my daughter cooked. I was very impressed to include the pie and the stuffing and the potatoes and everything. Of course, not with potatoes, just cauliflower, but they look like potatoes, taste like potatoes. So it was good. So yes, I stayed keto the entire Thanksgiving. I am keto. It's my life. It's what I do. So yes, absolutely. Shannon says, Biden's going to F it up as much as possible before he leaves. Sour grapes. I don't think it's just sour grapes, Cheyenne. I don't. You're correct, but I don't think it's sour grapes. I think Mike is saying the same thing, right? Biden's making things worse. Yes, I agree with both you and Mike that he is doing that. I don't agree on the reason. I don't think he's doing it because sour grapes. I think he's doing it because he is absolutely connected and set up with the military-industrial complex, and they don't want this to end. They don't want it to end. They think that the idea of America staying an empire is a good idea. The more weapons that go out are a good idea. The more we are at war is a good idea. They're warmongers. Yes, I think you're correct, but I think the reason isn't sour grapes. It's because, of course, I don't think he would have at all. I can't imagine him stopping the war at all. I can't imagine Harris stopping the war at all if she had won. If she had won. I don't think so. Yes. So, all righty. There we go. Mike says it. Biden has been daddy warbucks to Zelensky. 100% true. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jerry says, love from Hawaii. Hey, Jerry, so glad you're here. Thank you for being a member, my friend. I appreciate it. Yes, absolutely. The Liberty Lady says, hey, Larry, can you talk a little bit about your Rumble account and that we're trying to grow that platform? Yes. If you want to watch, we can also watch me on Rumble if you want to. I'm also on Rumble. You see how I say funky words? Because here on YouTube, I run this on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Rumble, Getter. Oh, geez. What else? Like 2 more places. Vimeo, Twitch. So yeah, I do it on a bunch. And the ones that are monetized are 4 monetized. Facebook's monetized. YouTube is monetized. Twitter's not monetized. Sorry, 3 are monetized. And Rumble's monetized. So you can watch on any of those, all good, whatever you prefer. But YouTube is the worst when it comes to my language. If I say things that they don't like more than once or twice or 3 times, or sometimes if it's in the first 5 minutes of the video, it just crushes all of my viewers. It crushes all of my advertisers. It crushes everything. So that's why you see me talk like a baby when I'm on YouTube, because YouTube treats us all like children, which is why so many people have been moving to Rumble. So if you want to watch on Rumble, please feel free. I may, if I have enough people, I have hardly anybody watching on Rumble to be fair, but if I have more people watching on Rumble, I can do more stuff just on Rumble and just speak plainly, because Rumble does not care. I've met the people from Rumble. I've met them. They're like, just talk, be you. YouTube's like, no, you will use baby talk or we will punish you. It says the right words or it gets the hose. That's how YouTube is. So there we go. There we go. User has been banned, says, can we get over World War II already? Never. Sadly, never. You were absolute never. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. So I wish we could. Yes. 100%. All right. 2013. Thank you, Mike. I knew you would know the time. I thought it was 2014. It was 2013. So we've been there 11 years now. Thank you. I knew it was during Obama. I didn't remember when it was, but there we go. I thought it was 14, 13. So we've been there now 11 years. So I am concerned. Yes, I am concerned. So elected new Manhattan DA in 2025 says, Semper Fi, shipmate, run for governor. Thank you, my friend. I am considering doing that. Yes, absolutely. Mary says, we should learn something from the rise of circumstances that led to the rise of the H-man, instead of calling everybody that we don't like the H-man. Yes, Mary. Why don't we think that? Yeah. Why don't we think that? Yeah. I love that. It's a good idea. And we should realize what's happening and then try to make changes so that we don't. But it's so much easier to yell at people, Mary. Let's just yell at people instead. Yeah, let's just do that. Yes. Roy says, when's the last time anyone invaded a NATO nation? Let's see. When someone wasn't, I don't think a NATO nation has actually been invaded. I don't think so. When's the last time a nuclear power has been invaded? I guess you would count this year, if you count Ukraine invading Russia, maybe. I don't know. But again, Roy, if that's the case, why are we worried? It's a serious question. If what you're saying is true, and the assumption you're making is NATO makes you perfect, that all of a sudden now people don't invade you anymore, okay, then why are we worried? Russia invades Ukraine, fights whatever, makes a deal, takes over half the land, whatever. So what? What do I hear from everybody else? Then he goes after the next. I thought no one can invade NATO. Well, right after Ukraine's on NATO. What are we worried about? He's going to invade Belarus? If he wants to, they're already basically the same country anyway. What do we care? Why are we worried? If what you're saying is true, then we should not worry about Ukraine at all. This whole idea of once Ukraine goes, then Poland goes, then Estonia goes. They're all NATO. What are we worried about? If what you're saying is true, who cares? That's why I don't get it. I hear it all the time. We have to stop Putin or he'll invade all of Europe. Okay, so we have to make Ukraine NATO. Why? Because then he won't invade. But everything after Ukraine's NATO. We already said he can't invade the rest of Europe. It's the magical wall that is NATO is right after Ukraine. So we got the magic shield. He can't get past it. We're good. No worries. And if he can get past it, then why do we care if Ukraine's in part of NATO? If he can get past the magic shield, who cares if Ukraine's NATO? If he can't get past the magic shield, well, then we're good. Too bad Ukraine should have jumped on board earlier. They didn't. Oh, well. What are you going to do? I don't get it. Andrew says, the MSM lost any and all credibility when they started pinning every anti-establishmentarianism as a Putin puppet. You hit that. Not just that, though, Andrew. Left-leaning YouTube did exactly the same thing. Because I would go on left-leaning YouTube shows, and I would say, hey, do we really want to be fighting this war this way, right? If this is really the end of the world, why don't we have American troops on the ground? This is what I was saying years ago. I said, if you really believe that this is the beginning of World War III, this is Poland, right? This is the H-man. This is the H-man invading Poland. This is it. This is this same thing. Why aren't Americans on the ground right now? Right? You call him the H-man, but then don't act like he's H-man. If he's the H-man and it's real, then why aren't Marines landing in the Black Sea now? Why isn't that happening? Why isn't the U.S. Navy blowing the Russian Navy out of the Black Sea and out of the Baltic Sea? Why isn't that happening right now? Why isn't the U.S. Army marching and driving across, Poland into Ukraine, into Russia right now? Why isn't that happening? If he's the H-man, because he's not. That's the reason, because he's not. And I said that 3 years ago. If you believe it, if you honestly do, why don't we have boots on the ground now? Now, because it's not and never was. So, yeah, And I would go there and they would be Putin puppet, you Putin. That's all I ever got. So of course, and this is the part. Why do you think people became so anti-Ukraine? It's the same thing. When you insult someone who asks a question, they start to hate you. Then whatever you say, they want the opposite. Not because you're right or wrong, because they hate you. And they're tired of being insulted every time they ask a question. There were a lot of people who first started who didn't know what Ukraine was on the map, but they didn't know. They're like, why are we fighting Ukraine? I don't get it. Putin puppet? Dude, I don't know what the hell. I don't even know what a country is. Putin puppet, you love Putin. What? Dude, I don't even know. What are you talking about? I have no idea. And then they're mad. And then they hate everybody and go, yeah, good. Let Ukraine fall. Let it all die. Because when I was trying to ask you a question, you didn't want to hear it. You just want to yell at me. Because as always, the way America has become, it is part of who we are now. Virtue signaling is far more important than anything else. I just have to virtue signal. Everything else is garbage. That's the worst part. So anyway, I'm sorry. User has been banned from another word. Thank you for being a member, my friend. He says, we've been going to war for all the wrong reasons. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Peace, brother. How are you? $2. Thank you for that. Can we use cartoons, Sharpe code? You know it. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. I guess I'm thinking about that. Yeah. Well, I use H-man. We don't know what that is. So we kind of do it. We kind of use it. We know what the H-man is now. It's something, I guess. So yes. Yes. Jerry says, thank you again for being a member, Jerry. What we learn from history is we don't learn from history. Yes. Most probable wars will continue and many die unless Trump is the mule as in Asimov's. I hope, as Asimov's books, yes. I hope that's true. Right? I hope that's true. Yes. Roy goes on and says, virtually every modern nation except Israel was created out of whole cloth by the victor doling out the spoils. Yeah. So yes, Kurds, Gazans, etc., deserve self-determination as much as anybody else. Agreed. Right? I think that again. I think I'm fooling myself, Roy. That's not going to happen, but it should happen. There should be a Kurdistan. But yeah, I don't get it. Yes, 100%. All righty. Midwest says, do you think the Somali and Somaliland war will come to play in World War III? I don't. I do not think so. I think that East African conflict actually is like three. Is Eritrea? I think is also involved in that, if I'm not mistaken. Right? I think Eritrea is also involved. There's like 3 or 4 in that area somehow involved in that war. Could it be considered a civil war? Kinda ish. Kinda not. That's kind of that seems like an odd area. So yeah, I think it could be an odd area. I think no, and I think no because I don't think the major players gain much from anyone's victory or loss, and they gain more from it continuing on. So I don't think that will come to play at all. I don't. I mean, it might. It's possible, but I don't see it. I don't. To Mike's point, right? If America can get a win, I don't know how America would win in that war, but whatever the win would be. The only win would be if America brokered a peace and actually made a border that everyone could somehow agree to via some type of bribing or cash or something like that, or defense treaty or something. I don't see. I mean, I don't mean to be negative about it. I just don't see it. I don't see that going together. Sam says Putin could win, but how could he hold it? He wants a way out that saves face. Yes, I think he holds it again if people agree, right? That's the issue. I do not think, and I know people get mad at me, but I don't care. I don't think Putin wants to invade and annex all of Ukraine at all. I don't think he wants that. I think he wants a Belarus. What does that mean by that? I think he wants a chunk of Ukraine. It's my opinion. He wants a chunk of Ukraine to be called Russia, and then a rump state of Ukraine that is basically a puppet state like Belarus is. Belarus is basically a puppet state, a buffer state. So now he has a buffer state in Belarus and a buffer state in Ukraine. So if anybody ever wants to attack Russia ever, they've got to go through those places before they get to Russian territory. And I think that's what he wants. So what China wanted with North Korea, so that we have to go through North Korea to get to China, and have to go through Belarus and go through Ukraine to get to Russia. That's what I think he wants. I think if he gets that, he's happy as can be. That's like, for in my view, a win for him is he gets all the land he wants. a small Ukrainian rump state that is basically has a puppet government that's completely pro-Russian, pro-Putin, and anti-West. That's what he wants. I don't think he'll get that. I think he will not get that. But I think that's what he actually wants. If he gets what he wants right now, he gets all the land that he has that he wants. He keeps that. He gets some kind of rump state in Ukraine that is completely anti-West and totally pro-Putin puppet like Belarus is. That's what he wants. I think he will not get that, but he'll try to get something close to that as possible. But if he just keeps the areas that he already has, and the West says, yes, that's now Russia, which would be what he would want if he gets that, then the people don't want to be there will just pack up and leave, right? The people who feel more Ukrainian will just go to Ukraine. He'll let them. He doesn't care. He will let them go. Go. He'll fill it with more Russians, and he'll be fine. So I think he'd be okay with that move. If that makes any sense. I think he'd be okay with it. That's what I think. So, all righty. Roy says Trump doesn't want Ukraine in NATO. Yeah, again, I think you're right. I do not think that will happen. But I think Zelensky has to say this, Roy. I don't see how he can't. I think he has to say it. So he wants to use a threat of Ukraine joining NATO to get Putin to agree with Zelensky to trade land for peace. That makes more sense to me. I agree with you. I think you're right. Yes, I think you're right. Dave says one thing to remember is the Russian military in the lead up to the war with Ukraine was very corrupt. Otherwise, Russia would have won the war in a week. I'm not sure about that either, Dave, to be forward with you. Only because, I'm sorry, of course they're corrupt. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm going to be clear what I'm not sure Russia could have just won this one because, again, the Ukrainians decided to defend themselves and use Americans to do so. That is, yes, that is the reason why. The Ukrainians could have rolled over. That was an option they could have taken. They did not take that option. They took the option to fight. And we helped them. I think that's the issue. And the Russians were not prepared for that. They were not prepared for that. They thought, yeah, we'll drive in, shoot them up, move on, and we'll get this thing. I think they believe that. Obviously, they were incorrect. Peace Laws, thank you for $2. What do you think those tic-tac shaped UAPs are? I have two views on this. Two. One of them is, I was thinking that, okay, one of them is that they're just like American military stuff that they don't want us to know about, right? So it's some secret stuff that they figure out how to do this stuff. They won't tell us. So that was option one. Option two. When they said the people who are saying that these UAPs are what they are, they're not saying they are extraterrestrial. They're not saying that. They're not saying they're alien. That's not the word they used. The phrase they used, and I was listening clearly, the phrase they used was not that. The phrase used was non-human. That was the phrase they used, non-human. Lara, are you saying it's like the underground lizard people who live underground and have special stuff? Maybe. They didn't say from another planet. They didn't say that. So maybe the lizard people are real and they fly around on Tic Tacs. Maybe it could be that. Maybe it's the Tic Tac flying lizard people who live in here. They live here. They're Earthlings. They're just not human. That's all. So the Liberty Lady says, Larry, what is your typical streaming schedule each week? Generally speaking, I try to stream every day at 7. That's my goal. I can't always make that, but I try to stream every day at 7. The exceptions of Monday and Tuesday. Sometimes I stream Monday at 8 or 9 because I do my Sharpe Club some nights. And Tuesday, I always do 1 p.m. my radio show. So I either don't do Tuesday night or I do 2 shows on Tuesday, the 1 p.m. and then the 7 p.m., everything Eastern. I try to do 7 p.m. every day to the best of my ability. I can't always do it because I do have to work also, but I do my best to do that. That's why. So yes. All righty. Okay. See if I can keep going. What the heck is keto cranberry sauce? It is a cranberry sauce that is sweetened by monk fruit. That is what it is. It is a yes, that is what that is. So yes. Mike says no mashed potatoes is according to Jacob. Yes, it's cute, but they're kind of, yes. They're kind of mashed potatoes. They're mashed potato-ish. So yes. Lunatic, thank you for the $5. I appreciate it, my friend, for both being a member and for the super chat. World War III will lower the population, increase programming, increase control systems. We are beyond repair. I'm not sure that lowering the population is a good or a bad thing. I'm very torn on this. I'm very torn on this concept of lowering or raising population. I don't know if it matters either way. Like, obviously, economically, it can affect us if we don't keep growing, but then about our planet too, I don't know. Will it allow us to do other things? Will we move off of our planet? I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that piece. But the question is, how bad will World War III lower the population? It may or may not. Remember something, World War I, certain countries were horribly affected. Certain weren't, right? And then World War II, same thing. World War II, depends upon the place where you're going, right? World War II, horrible to be a Russian. Oh my God, being a French, not so bad. I'm just saying, not so bad. When it comes to dying, I'm sorry. You got occupied, but I'm saying when it comes to dying, not so bad. Even British, not so bad. Being Japanese, not good. Like, it really depends where you are. So I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. And look at that. Right after World War II, population exploded. And we lost what? Overall, if you count Asia and Europe, 150 million dead, something like that. Not 100 million? About 100 million, I think, if you count both. I think it's 100 million if you count both Eastern and Western spheres. I think it's about 100 million dead. That's 100 million people. That's a lot of people dying. Right after that, exploded. So I'm not sure, right? So say we lose X 100 million people, whatever that number is, and then we have a population explosion again, wouldn't even notice it. Wouldn't even notice it. So yeah. All righty. Andrew says 0. NATO was attacked 0 times. Well, there we go. Oh, Mike goes on 11. Oh, Mike. Okay. Mike just pulled a joker. Take that. Yeah, that's true. That's true. 9/11. That would basically say a NATO nation got attacked, and pretty bad. 3,000 casualties. One attack. That's true. And went to war. Yeah. So I guess that will be the one. Now make me think, did I miss one? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there we go. That's one right there. That's the joker he just pulled out. Nicely done, Mike. There we go. And then Article 5 invoked was September 11th attacks. There we go. Done. So I think Andrew, he just threw a joker on it. So yeah. There we go. There we go. So okay. Dave says, we can't get over World War II because Tucker suggested that Winston Churchill was worse than the H-man. Did he really? Okay. I get if you don't like Churchill. I get it. There are reasons to not like him. I'm not saying he's a perfect guy at all. I get it. But to say he's worse than the H-man, come on. That's dumb. It's done. Yes. Use has been banned by the following words. Do you think the world would be in a better place if we listened to generals on the ground in WW2 and Korea? Patton going to Moscow and Matt using the weapon on North Korea. Yes and yes. I'm actually considering doing a whole show on how bad FDR was as a president. And it makes people who are more left-leaning go crazy when I say it. He was a terrible president in many ways. For many of our problems we have today are all because of him. So problems in the world, problems in foreign policy, problems in our medical care, problems in our unions, all up so many problems because of what he did. So many problems. He's wrecked so many things. Of course, he completely appeased and supported, because Royce's appeasement doesn't work. So, well, okay. Well, he appeased the Soviets, so there's no tomorrow. He was terrible. And then Truman not beating up on the Chinese when he could have. Yeah, of course. If go to war or don't go to war. I say it all the time. I said it when it came to Ukraine. I said it when it came to go to war or don't go to war. Either one. Are we at war or not? I guess not. I guess we're not. So yeah, 100%. And the funny part is, a lot of people, it wasn't just Patton wanting to go to Moscow. A lot of generals did. In fact, this is that people don't realize. A lot of Germany and its allies assumed that once Germany surrendered, that they would join together and attack Russia. That was an assumption. Many of the generals were like, okay, we're ready now. And they're like, what are you doing? Why are you arresting us? Aren't we going to get Russia now? America was like, no, you getting arrested. No. We going to fight Russia now. Oh, no, you getting arrested. That's how that happened. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. Yes. So, anyway, that was good, though. I do that 9/11. Mike, thoroughly impressive. So, yes. All right. James says, who's talking about appeasement? I'm saying that if another country is trading with us, they aren't attacking us. Yeah, look, and that is my point, right? I tend to agree. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't always mean that that's magically, but it's always a better chance. Trading countries do sometimes go to war. It does happen, but I'm just saying you're right. Often they don't. So yes. Let's see here. Dave says the closest a NATO country was invaded was when two NATO countries, Greece and Turkey, almost came to blows with Cyprus. Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah, I remember that. That's correct. Yeah. But wasn't that Greece had a communist takeover at that point? Is that right? I forgot, something like that. Yeah. Dave says, question, what part of your backdrop is real and what part is green screen? The piece where it looks like it's a bunker, all green screen. I can change it. When I remember, I don't always do it, but when I remember, when I do my radio show, I change the background to that. That's my radio show background. So my radio show background is me doing it out of New York City. And then sometimes when I do other coaching, whatever the case may be, I will change it to a coffee shop. So I'll sit in a coffee shop when I'm doing coaching and training. Often I do that too. So I will swap it. But, and when I do award shows, I will go to that. I'm doing an award show now. Look, I'm doing an award show. Isn't that great? But for you guys, you get the bunker. Hope that was clear. That's my green screen behind me. So yes. All righty. Larry, do you think AOC will run for president 2028? I do not. I do not think she'll do it. No. I think she will wait till 32. I think AOC would be a wonderful VP selection or something like that. I do not think she would do it. So yes. Mike says, Larry, you voted for Tina in 2022. I did. I think you said you weren't voting this year. I didn't say that. I said there's no reason for me to vote. My vote does not count. That's true. I said that. I said my vote doesn't matter. My vote doesn't count. And it did not matter. It did not start. It doesn't matter at all. So yeah, it does not matter. My vote did not matter. It was irrelevant, but I didn't say I was going to vote. I just said it didn't matter. So yeah, there we go. All righty. Let's see if I can go here. Again, another $5. Thank you so much for Peace Logic. China is attacking us with fentanyl and divide us. Intentional? Here's the thing to remember, guys. I don't mean to be cruel here, but I'm going to be very clear. If you have an addict in your life, and I have had addicts in my life. My mom was an addict. I have no addicts. People think that everyone's being tricked into buying fentanyl. No. They want fentanyl. Some of you, your mind may be blown. They want fentanyl. The addicts are getting fentanyl because it's a cheap, powerful high. They're not looking for heroin and getting fentanyl. They're looking for fentanyl and getting fentanyl. I want to be clear. But what about that story of the purchase of fentanyl by mistake? That does happen. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's terrible. I'm not pro fentanyl. Obviously not. Clearly not. And it does happen to where someone thinks they're taking a certain pill and takes a fentanyl pill and dies. Happens, of course. That's 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000. Losing 100,000 people a year. They want it. There are bigger issues than this. And guess what? Something you might laugh at, Peace. You know what's changed in the last couple of years? There's no more heroin coming out of Afghanistan. Why? America doesn't control the heroin fields anymore. When America controlled Afghanistan, heroin was flowing. Number one country when it came to heroin. Number one. America's out. 0. Taliban's not playing games. You don't get that. We're going to make some heroin. We're going to kill you and burn everything. Oh, then I'm going to stop making heroin. Done. That was fast. That's fast. Yeah, none. So now you can't get heroin anymore. Well, you can't, but it's a lot more expensive. What's cheap? Fentanyl. We have problems and we are blaming other people. What's the response to fentanyl? Meth. Why do we have meth? Because of war on drugs. Oh, yeah, some of you are mad at me. I know. I don't care. It's still true. It's still true. Every time someone tells me, and I've had people say this, you don't understand, Larry, you're wrong. So-and-so drug killed my son, my daughter, my so-and-so. So I asked them, and I've done this more than once. If you ever seen me, I've actually done this in events when I was running for office. I'll say, I'm going to ask you a question if you don't mind. You know, oh, go, yeah, go ahead. I'm going to say son, but it could have been anything. Your son, did you like get clean for a little bit and then come back and then OD'd? Yeah. Happens all the time. Yeah. You know why? Why? Because he can't get his drug. How do you get hooked? Did you get hooked because he had prescription drugs? At least half the time. Yeah. Yeah, prescription drugs, right? Yeah, because they gave him an opioid, right? Yeah. They didn't give him a cannabis product. But they can't. I know. In both cases, the drug didn't kill your son. The war on drugs killed your son. How do I know? I work with wealthy people all the time. Lots of them are on drugs. Lots of them are. You think only poor people are on drugs? Lots of them are. Why aren't they overdosing? Because they get expensive drugs. They get cocaine or they snort Adderall or something like that. They snort something that is safe because they're wealthy. Wealthy people get expensive, safe drugs. They're on drugs too. Lots of people are on drugs. Doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Lots of people are on drugs. Wealthy people have safer drugs. Why? Because, well, they're wealthy. Well, how come only they get it? Because the war on drugs makes all the drugs expensive. So if you get cheap drugs, meth was created by people who couldn't get expensive drugs. That's why meth is so dangerous. Fentanyl, people can't get expensive drugs. The drug did not kill your son or daughter. The war on drugs did. You be mad at somebody? Be mad at every president from Nixon until today. Be mad at them. You want to blame somebody? Okay, good. Blame Trump, blame Obama, blame Biden, blame Bush, blame freaking Clinton, blame the other Bush, blame Carter, blame Reagan, blame Ford, and blame Nixon. Blame every one of them. Every one of them could have ended the war on drugs. None of them did. Blame every one of them. Get mad at them. They killed your son. They killed your daughter. They could have stopped it. None of them did. So China's not attacking us with fentanyl. That's not a thing. It's a thing they say to make people angry. That's not true. Mexicans aren't attacking us with fentanyl. We are eagerly buying fentanyl. Eagerly. There is no attack. We are eagerly buying fentanyl purposefully because our addicts in our country want them. I know that's hard to hear, specifically if you have someone in your life who's an addict. I know. I've had someone in my life who's an addict. And the worst part about having someone in your life who's an addict, the worst part of it all, is that they will always choose the substance over you until they've hit rock bottom. And if you're lucky, they hit rock bottom before they die. I was lucky. My loved one hit rock bottom before she died. I got her back. I was lucky. A lot of people don't get that loved one back because they don't hit rock bottom. They die first. But here's what I know. No war on drugs, there's a chance they could live. There's a chance they can live because when they hit rock bottom, it doesn't mean death. Rock bottom means they lose their friends, they lose their looks, they lose their job, they lose their possessions. Terrible, but they don't lose their life. They're in the streets. That's rock bottom. They're in the streets, living out of the car. That's rock bottom, but not dead. I can get them out of the car. I had to get mine out of prison. That's where my mom was in prison. I had to pull mine out of prison, right? But rock bottom either means prison or it means living in a car or living in the street. I can find them and I can pull them back up because now they hit rock bottom. I can get them back. But no, war on drugs makes sure that rock bottom is prison or death. The war on drugs makes sure the rock bottom is prison or death. How do I know that? Because alcohol is legal. And most people are hitting rock bottom before they die when it comes to alcohol. Most are. Some are still dying of alcohol poisoning. Some are still dying of liver cirrhosis. Some are still are. But a whole lot less. Most of them, people who are addicted to alcohol, hit rock bottom before they die. It's legal. Most. Anyway. So yeah, that's how that works. Let me keep moving if I could. So yeah. All right. I'm going to grab a couple more of these. You got me a little bit going, but I appreciate it. So want to keep going. All righty. By the way, not only did I vote for Tina, I know Tina. I've been on shows with her before. She's actually very funny. Boy, she got a mouth on her. Ooh, man, does she have a mouth on her? Yes, absolutely. Does she have a mouth on her? 100%. So, peace goes on to $5. Thank you. I'm very knowledgeable on this topic, and you were 100% right. Didn't word that last question. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they are. Yes, they're looking for it. They want it. Yeah, I don't know how. Again, I don't know your background in this regard, Dean. I don't know if we've spoken about your world people addiction in your life. I don't remember if we've spoken about that in the past. I think we did, didn't we? I think we did speak about that. Yeah, I think we did. So yes. All righty. Any case, let me keep going here. Let's go down here. Sam says FDR was pretty bad. I hope you do that show. Yeah, I think I will. I've been thinking about that show. I think I will. Yes. So Roy says China learned from the British, addicting them on opium to now pay the West. But I don't doubt it. Yes, I don't doubt it. Dave, with the fentanyl thing, I'm reminded of an episode, Homicide: Life on the Streets, where heroin addicts were ODing in Baltimore. One of the characters was an addict. 2 of 2. The character said the addicts think they can handle a drug. Correct, Dave. Yes, they're looking for it. Yes, they're looking for it. Yes. Sal says we have meth because back in the 30s, the Japanese wanted super pigment. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I should have been clearer, Sal. I'm sorry. I meant the current batch of street meth that we have. I should have been clearer. I'm sorry. I got a little emotional. I wasn't clear, Sal. Let me be clearer. I meant the current batch of dangerous street meth, right? Bathtub meth, garage blowing up meth. That's because the people can't afford heroin and they can't afford expensive drugs. That's the reason. So yeah, for that one. So I should have been clearer. You are correct. I should have been clearer in what I said. So yes. Okay. That was my error for not being clear. Paula says living with an addict is hell, and they put you through hell too before they hit rock bottom. Yes. Paula, yes, you're right. Legalization and decriminalizing drugs keeps them out of prison and away from dealers and the pimps. Yes. Yes. Look, it's not perfect. People getting hooked on drugs sucks. Paula, obviously you live with an addict. I get it. It is not, it sucks. All I'm saying is, do I want them to live and give them a chance at getting them back or not? Yes, that's it. Roy goes, amen, and reduces the shame. Yes, people should want to get help. I want them to get help, right? I want my loved one back. Right? I want my loved one back. That's what I want. I don't want the person. I don't want to be all righteous. Yeah, I'm righteous. I'm like, no. I want my loved one back. Right? Again, I openly say I was lucky. When I got my mom back, she never went back. She was clean until the day she died. She never went back, ever. And she would tell me something. We'd sit and watch a TV show, a movie or something. And somebody will be doing drugs in the movie or the TV show, right? And she would look at me and she'd say, Larry, I can smell it. She would tell me, Larry, I can smell it. And it's on the TV, right? We're watching some show or something, some movie or whatever. And she could smell it. That's an addict. And she never went back. I gave her the support structure she needed. She had support structure. And I got my mom back. I recognize how lucky I was. I recognize it, 100% recognize it. Like I'm not sitting here acting. I got 20 years with my mom, clean. I am very happy that I got that. That's all I'm saying. Some people don't get it. I would like every one of you who has an addict in your life to get that person back. That's what I would like. I know that some of you have already lost somebody. If you're listening, I'm sure you have. And some of you will not get your loved one back if they're an addict. I know. I hope they would. So anyway, I have said my piece. Let me keep going if I can. All righty. The liberal lady says, do you think the way the LP's backing Trump that they will shut down anyone that runs for LP in 2028? MAGA McArdle's already talking about Vivek in 2020 instead of the party. I don't think so. Remember, you're saying the LP. Is the LP really... Does it matter that much? I mean, are people like going, oh my God, now Trump is great because the LP is back or whatever? I don't know. I think by 2028, somebody else who's the new shiny thing will be the person. I don't think it'll matter. I don't think the Republican Party cares much about the LP much at all, except to kind of keep them in a spot to not challenge, is what I think the Republicans care about. Just, okay, good. You can't challenge us. Life is good. Just don't challenge us. And I think that's the goal. That's what I think, right, is what they care about. But I think, look, I do not think that any Republican would want to run against the Republican Party in 2028. The Republican Party in 2028 is going to be a strong party in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what that one's going to be yet, but it'll be a strong party. It's not going to be like destroyed because either Trump does something terrible or Trump is great. Neither one of those is going to matter, right? It's still going to be a powerful party with lots of infrastructure. It's going to be a powerful party either way. I'm not saying they're going to win in 2028. I don't know, but it's going to be powerful. Why would you run as a libertarian? If you have a chance, if Vivek has a chance of running as a Republican, why in the world would he run as a libertarian? I can't imagine that. Angela can want that all day long. I have no idea why he would do it. It makes no sense. The person who'd run as a libertarian in 2028 will be someone who would hope. I think, by the way, I think it's a good chance to run. If you're a libertarian considering running, I think that's a good chance to run 2028 because there'll be no incumbent. So you have a chance at making some impact. I don't think the libertarian has a chance of victory in 2028, but could the libertarian say maybe get 5%? The right one could. Maybe. That's a chance. Could maybe get that. Or maybe could get some maybe they could get some electoral votes that I've been talking about for the past 12 years, right? I think if the Libertarian Party figures out, whatever candidate figures out that what I've been saying for the past 12 years is correct, or 8 years since 2016, past 8 years is correct. If they would get that, I think 2020 is a great time to run because you probably could get the 5% to make the Libertarian Party viable in 32, right? The Libertarian Party can become viable in 2032 if it breaks 5% in 2028. Now it becomes a viable force in 2032. But with how bad we did this year, I mean, we're not viable in 2028 to do anything except maybe, again, the right person, right plan, get something. I think that's the answer. So, and I don't think Vivek would. Why would Vivek want to do that? Why would anyone who could win the Republican nomination take our second choice? I don't see that. I don't know any. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that. So, yes. Alrighty, I'm gonna grab a couple more off of Rumble if I could. Straight End says, "Go to war or don't go into war." I agree. Yes. Go to war or don't. Thank you for that. It's 100% true. Yes, that is the biggest piece. Straight says, "Haha, got that, lady. I thought I saw an Oval Office green screen on any of you that." I do have an Oval Office one also. I do. I have an Oval Office to do that, and I have a Congress one. I have a bunch of different ones. So yes, I do. I have a bunch. So I want to go back to one more thing before I got a bunch more I want to grab. The LP is a big one. I will start grabbing some LP stuff. Before I go there, guys, please click the button known as LIKE. Yes, like, punch it, kick it, slam it, whatever. Everyone matters. Please do so. Wherever you're watching on Twitter, Facebook, whatever, YouTube, click the button known as like. Please do so. If you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, share this into a Facebook group. Share it someplace else. Pick it up, pop it, put it someplace else so people can see it. It does matter. If you have not subscribed yet on YouTube, please do so. And if you have, but you're not sure, subscribe again, because sometimes YouTube decides randomly that you are a bot and it just unsubscribes you. I'm not joking. I hear all the time, "Oh man, I was subscribed." No, I'm not. Yep. YouTube decides you're a bot for whatever reason. So it unsubscribes you. So please resubscribe and click, if you would, the button that says notification. Click that notification button. It does matter. Super chat me if you want to. It goes right to the front. You can become a member if you want to. Remember, I'm doing members only shows, not members watching, but members can be on the show physically. Did one last week. We're doing one another couple of weeks, getting people on the shows. You can actually sit here and chat with me, or whatever you want. Tell dumb jokes if you want, or tell funny jokes. I don't have to be dumb. Most of mine are dumb, but it could be funny too. Whatever you like. I don't mind either way. So yes. All right. Mike says, "Seems the Libertarian Party just wants to make money than impact." What? Mike, what Libertarian Party you been watching? Libertarian Party has no idea how to make money. None. That's one that we do not know how to make. No. Let me be clear. When I ran for governor, I raised more money than Chase did when he ran for president. Only guy knows how to raise money in this party is the guy you're looking at now. Ain't nobody else. That's no. What the Libertarian Party wants to do more than anything else is virtue signal. Like there's no tomorrow. I'm purer than you. I'm purer than the other guy. I'm a more pious voter than you are. I'm more pious than you are. That's what matters. The rest of it, they don't care. Money. What you been looking at? No way. No way. Yes. So Paula goes on to say, shame doesn't work. Neither does jail. From what I've experienced, you need rehab. Come to a Jesus moment. Vets on drug is the worst. Yes. I'll go one step further, Paula. If you notice, people who succeed at breaking whatever addiction they have, whether that's a gambling addiction, narcotics addiction, alcohol addiction, whatever addiction that whatever substance is the one affecting them, it isn't just the come Jesus moment. That's a good part. I like that. But the Jesus moment works only if you use Jesus. It only works if you have a community around you. If you actually use the church as support structure. And not all churches are good at that. I'm not trying to slam churches, but I think you know what I'm talking about, Paula. Some churches, very good at that. Some, not good at all at that. Depends upon the church you're part of. Some communities are very good at the support you need. Support's the key, whether that's 12-step programs aren't magical. People think it's magical. They're not magical. Do you have the right group that gives you support? That's the critical aspect. If your AA group is terrible and you have no support, you failing. AA isn't magical. It's the people there. Will they support you effectively? And that's, to be forward for many people, Paula, that's luck. You get one that's working, that's got good support structure, you got a shot. You could beat this. You got one that's broken, full of a bunch of posers, you're not beating it. In fact, in some of those spots, if you had a bad one, they're helping you go back. If you've been around these, and I've been around because I did work with vets, some of them, and it's just luck. It's the people who happen to be there. You get the right people, you're set. You get the wrong people, you're going back. So yes. So I would say yes, and right, you also have to have that support structure with you. And I became my mom's support structure. And if you have that, you can make it happen. That's the key. So, Peace, thank you for the $10. I appreciate the super chat. Can you give a quick definition, the difference between Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, and Andrew Yang's forward? Talking like a kid. It is mostly the same. All right, let me give you all four of them real fast. Generally speaking, in today, and this is a change, I'm giving you today's world, right? This has changed from past. Let me give you traditional today. How about that? Yes. Okay. Traditionally, Democrats have been more about group, people, socialized issues like that. Republicans have been more about the individual, more business friendly in general. That has been a general rule. Today, what that means, Democrats are about the establishment. That's who they are right now. That has not always been the case. You go back 50 years, Democrats were completely anti-establishment. Republicans were the establishment. Those are completely different now. Right now, Democrats are about the establishment, credentialing, establishment, being valid, being vetted, right? Groupthink. That is the biggest piece of the modern day Democratic Party. You think the way we think, or you must leave. Again, that was Republican Party 50 years ago. Remember the moral majority back in the late 70s? That's what it was back then. That has completely flipped. The Republican Party now has become the party of not Democrats. It may sound silly, but it's absolutely true. The Democrats have become so monolithic that many people who aren't that either go further left and go like green or open communist. People say Democrats are communists. They are not communists. They're not socialists. It's not a thing. It's not true. That's like calling everybody H-man. Today's Democratic Party is not communist, is not socialist, it's not who they are. They're not. They're establishment. Actual communists, actual socialists are leftists. They are further left than Democrats. That's why guys like Bernie aren't good enough for them anymore. And they're now on a fringe. And you might go, wait a minute, are those the people who want like the trans people? They're not there. They're talking economically. Socialists and communists aren't talking about whether the gay rights. They're past that. Those days, they're done with that. That was years ago. They're not talking about things like Medicare for all, which Democrats talk but aren't really about that at all. They're not. That's just talk, they say. They're about real socialism. They're about like not letting people become billionaires, like being against the law. Democrats do some of that talk, but they're not doing it. Democrats talk that, but don't mean any of it. That's why some people like Cenk Uyghurs of the world, Brianna Joy Grays of the world, they've moved away from the Democratic Party also. Because Democrats, you must be this now. And that was not a thing years ago, but today it is. So they're actually further left. And then everyone else goes to the right, because where else am I going to go? So the Republican Party doesn't know what it is right now. And if you're a Republican, you may be upset, but it's true. It does not know what it is right now. It's filled with working class people, and it hasn't been a working class party. Now all of a sudden it is. It's full of people who are populist. Republican Party is not populist. I guess it is now, right? It's got people like Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., all in the same party with Trump. How the hell do you figure that one out? So the Republican Party has become the party of everybody not Democrat who isn't far left. The far left is separate from the Democratic Party. People who don't know the left think Democratic Party is the left. It is not the left. That is a story Republicans tell you. It's not true. And it's talk that Democrats will say, but they are not left. Democratic is not left. Democratic Party is establishment that talks left, but isn't actually left. The actual left is further left Democratic Party. So that's why I have a difference between leftists and Democrats. They're different. They're not the same. Now, Republicans are lost right now, which is why I'm saying I don't think the Republican Party will be in 2028. It has to try to become some type of working class party, but it's not that. So can Trump and his people make it that? Maybe, but they still have an elite Republican establishment that does not want to be that at all. How will they make that happen? I'm not sure. But that's Republican Party is right now. So if you are not for the establishment, if you are anti-establishment and you're not far left, you're Republican right now. If you like the establishment, things going for it, you're probably Democrat. If you are leftist, you're trying to find the Green Party or something else. You're just pissed off online right now. You're basically online mad because Democratic Party has abandoned you. Republican Party doesn't want you. So what do you do now? I don't know. You're in trouble. You're screaming. You're hoping AOC runs independent or something. Or that, if you heard, remember, finally, Bernie Sanders came out saying people who are left have to run independent. Have you heard him? He said that. People have to run independent because he knows the Republican Party is absolutely not. I'm sorry, Democratic Party is not left. He knows it. Yes. Strahan says, I agree with Larry about it. The GOP. Caitlyn Jenner is talking about running for California governor as Republican because MAGA people are more receptive to her. Think about that. Caitlyn Jenner is doing it. Yes. That's what the Republican Party has become. That's my point. Thank you for that, Strahan. Yes. It's absolutely doing it. Yes, 100%. Yes. Libertarians. Libertarians are basically people who are saying more government doesn't work. That's what they're saying. More government doesn't work. That's what libertarians are, right? We are not about individualism. They say that, but it's not. We're about voluntarism. You can work all together all you want, just no one forces you, right? In fact, you could be a socialist if you want to. You can be a voluntary socialist. My God, what is that? I'm telling you, it's called the Amish. Remember something. In a authoritarian world, left or right, the first people destroyed are the minorities. Always. Always. Whether you're right or left leaning, whatever it is, minorities get destroyed first. Always. Any groups that do that are socialized on their own, whether they be Amish, Jewish populations of Europe, perfect example of that, left or right, authoritarianism, go after anyone who's kind of socializing on their own. In the libertarian world, we love that. Please do that. We love that, which is why libertarians often get along with the far left, because the far left wants communes. Good, be a commune, just don't force it. Don't make the government do it. You do it. Have a commune. Be Amish. Life is good. Leave me alone. You can be together voluntarily all you want. In a perfect libertarian world, and this is again fantasy. We're not here at all, but I'm saying where we would be looking in our perfect world, it's a total voluntary society. Now again, we're nowhere near that. That's libertarian fantasy world. But I'm just saying that's what we're looking for, where people are voluntarily doing what they feel is best. That's the perfect world. So libertarians feel that. Andrew Yang's Forward Party is a third way. It's actually trying to be people who are moderate, people who think about just moderate things and then run as moderates, not stuck on a left-right paradigm. That's Forward Party. I hope I answered all those. So, yes. All righty. Dark Clouds of the Mind says, shouldn't libertarians be excited about Doge and all the disruptions Trump's nominations are causing? I think many are. I think you're right. I think many are. I like the idea. I do. Because I know that some of it's going to work. Some of it's going to fail because it's government. Some of it will fail. But yes, I think you're right. Yes, I do think that. Yeah. So, all right. Mike says, my point was, why didn't they go with Trump? He was asking for the endorsement. Why would they? For what reason? Why would they go with Trump? Why would the LP go with Trump? He was not libertarian. Why would they? You know, Paula says, I wish the LP was into money. We are giving purity tests and getting stuck in the culture wars. Yes. 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 Roy says, Dems will help you. Okay, Dems will say they'll help you, but they won't. They'll keep you in the same spot. Republicans, God will help you. They'll say that, but they'll keep you in the same spot. Libertarians, you can help yourself. Good libertarians will get the government out of the way so you can't help yourself and will support communities. So kind of yes, Roy. I'm going to tweak it a little bit, but kind of yes. Yeah, kind of yes. Kind of yes. I think that's true. Kind of yes. So yeah. Shan says, libertarians don't know how to campaign. Sometimes we want to make a website. Yeah, because this is a problem. You remember something. Libertarians have spent literally decades just trying to get people to run so they could be on a ballot. That was our goal for literally decades. And sadly, Shan, that has stayed in our world. That has stayed in our world to where many people still think, well, I'm running for office, so I'll put my name on a ballot and I'm done. And we need to get rid of it. It's a problem that we have. It's been ingrained for decades and we haven't broken it. It's a cultural problem. And they're called, by the way, paper candidates. We actually have a name for them. Oh, he's a paper candidate. We have that's how common that has been. We have a name for it. You are correct. So yes. Joel says, Larry Sharpe, have you decided to run for governor of New York in 2026? I've been hoping you are. Now, I can't say I'm doing that right now, Joel, because then if I announce now, then I can't talk to PACs. That would be illegal, Joel. See? So if I were to announce that I was running for governor in 2026, I'm not making an announcement. But if I were to make the announcement now, I would have to have a campaign. I would have to have a committee. And then to do that, it would then be illegal for me to talk to PACs. And then that whole money thing I just talked about, that libertarians should be better at, I would have trouble doing. So if I were to be running for office in 2026, if I were running for an office in 2026, like governor or something like that, I wouldn't want to say it now. I would want to wait later on, in theory, in my theoretical run for governor in 2026, which I'm not announcing now. But in theory, if I were to announce the thing, I'd want to wait until I was sure, and then I would be able to make sure that PACs would be supporting me with no, and then I could stop worrying about like legal issues. If that makes any sense. So maybe I have to worry about these things because I would be considering running for governor in 2026. Joel, just to be clear. So yes. Paula says, I had hoped the LP would be as big tent as GOP is now, but we got sucked into culture wars and became a small tent. Yes, you're right. Cheyenne goes on to say, I think Doge makes it off good, but I worry about becoming another bureaucracy. Well, I do too, but I hope it's true, I heard that it will not be a bureaucracy. Now, that's both good and bad. The good part is, to your point, it can't become a big bureaucracy if it isn't a bureaucracy. The bad part is, will it have any power at all? That is my concern. So both of those, yes. But look, the number one thing to be forward, China, is I want the culture to change. The culture should change. Look, people need help. This is to Roy's point. People still need help. People still fall down. People make mistakes. People are unlucky, right? Of course, people are born in bad spots. This is what happens, of course. So I still want people to be helped. I want people to have a hand up. I just want communities to be able to do it that actually care about their people versus government bureaucrats who don't care, right? That's it. Mike says, if you hypothetically did run, would you do the show? Yes, I did. I did a show. I called it a Gov Shack when I ran last time. So yes, I don't stop doing shows. Of course. By the way, I got that idea. For those of you who don't remember, where I get this idea from doing this. Believe it or not, I got it from actually Giuliani, Mayor Giuliani. Mayor Giuliani used to do, I think it was a Thursday show once a week on WOR radio in New York. where he'd do a live show with, I believe it was John Gambling. I think was the guy he did it with. I think that's right. John Gambling and Giuliani used to do a show together on WOR on 10 I think it was 10 a.m. on Thursdays, if I remember right. We would just take live phone calls. And people calling, hey, someone, broke the window on 3rd Avenue. Really? And he calls guy up, hey, fix that right there, whatever, go there, whatever. And like, he just talk to people. What's going on back and forth. He did it for like years. And then when Bloomberg came in, Bloomberg picked it up and did it too. I was like, that's cool. And so then de Blasio didn't do it after that. But they both did that show. And I thought, that's a good thing. So I thought I would do it too. So when I ran for governor, I did a weekly show. I called it Gov Shack. It's in the Love Shack, the Gov Shack. See dumb jokes. So yes, I would still do it. No matter what, because I still want to be able, the reason why I do so many live shows and when I run for office, so many live events, is I never want to not understand what the people are actually thinking. And I want them to know that what I'm thinking and how I think. Because the problem is when you run for anything and you start to become popular, that's when they lie about you, right? That's when they lie about you. Because people always say, well, you got to be perfect so they can't get you. Doesn't matter. I could be perfect. They'll make stuff up. And they did. In 2018, when they thought I was a threat, all of a sudden they made up newspaper articles. They said I was anti-law enforcement. My dad was in law enforcement. They said I was anti-gun. I'm the most pro-gun guy that there is in New York State. There wasn't a more pro guy running. What didn't exist. And still, they made it up. So how did I survive? I actually took their bad stuff and I posted it and I grew. Why? Because people knew me and they knew what was a lie. How do I defend against the lie? I'm not that. That's not how it works. Mike, you got to know it's BS. That's the way I defend myself. You have to know it's BS. When they go, Larry said he wants people to be shot in the streets. You're like, I already said that? I didn't say that. That's stupid. He didn't say that. You have to be able to say that. And you only say that if you speak to me, if you know me, if you saw me, if you watch me do 80,000 shows and go, Larry, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. Larry said he wanted to, get rid of the Department of Education. Yeah, he said that. yeah, he said that. That's Larry. He said that. Right? You have to know me to go, yeah, he totally said that. That's not a lie. That's real. He said that. That's the issue. Right? And then you got to know that if you meet me at an event and you say to me, you go, Larry, this guy told me you said this thing. And I go, yeah, I said that. You go, okay. I'm mad at you now. Okay, but I said it. I'm telling you the truth. Or I never said that. You did? Now he made that up. You're like, okay. And you'll believe me. You go, oh, the guy made it up. That's the only way I can defend myself. In the internet right now, you can't erase anything. Right? Once someone says I'm a bad guy, it's there. I can't get rid of it ever. All I can do is swarm it with more material, which is one of the reasons why you see me do 10 hours of live content on 10 different platforms every week. Put up something bad against me, you're going to fight for it. So I'm saying, you're going to work for it. You're going to work for it. If you got one bad thing on your internet, you're done for. You're done for. You got one bad thing. I probably got 1,000 bad things, but I got 50,000 good things. So I don't care. So yes, yes, that's it. So I hope that makes sense to you. So the issue is, I hope you would know that if you were mad at me for something and said, hey, Larry said this thing, I can't believe it, and you found me at some event, you just asked me, hey, Larry, so-and-so said this. Did you say it? I will tell you the truth if I said it or not. Or if I was wrong, right? Sometimes I say something and later on I go, you know what, I'm wrong. I shouldn't have said that. And I'll tell you, yeah, I screwed up. I shouldn't have said that. Or I misspoke or whatever, right? I would tell you. Or like, no, I said it and I stand by it. Whatever. So I hope that makes sense. So yes, Paul says campaigning requires money. If you want a shot at winning, you need ballot access and cash, especially when establishment comes after. Yes. So if you can't support Larry financially, you can hit the like button. Yay. You are correct, Paula. Click the button on the like and share this everywhere you can. It does matter. Daniel says Larry has receipts. I always come up with receipts, Daniel. I do. I do predict things. I'm not always right, but I'm often right. That's what I would say. I'm usually right, but not always. I've been wrong. I'm usually right, and I try to predict and I say things. And that's why I talk about these things. I tell you in advance. I told you about Syria months ago. Months ago, I told you about Syria. I said, this was going to happen, how it's working, this is the issue. I do. Yes. So, yeah. All right. Roy says, Larry isn't a politician, so Gov Sharpe will listen to constituents to better govern. Oh, thank you. Not just listen to voters to better run. Yeah. I have always tried my best to stay in the loop to the best of my ability, right? It's difficult sometimes, but I try my best to do so whenever I can, 100%. Guys, I'm going to ask you one more time. Click the button known as like if you have not. If you have not clicked it, I don't know why you haven't. If you're watching this on Facebook or Twitter, please share this. Every single share matters. It's how I get past the algorithms. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on all the things. Each bit matters so I can keep moving this forward. Thank you all for the super chats. I appreciate it. If you have not become a member yet, please do so if you can. Click the join button on either YouTube Larry Sharpe or YouTube The Sharpe Way. Either one of those, does not matter which one. And every month I'll be doing a member show where the members come on and chat with me directly. And we talk about whatever you want to talk about. Doesn't matter. Any of them, all of them is good. And not just that, please, if you can, once this is over, please put a comment. I know I've been slow recently, but I will start responding to them quickly, best of my ability. I'll keep going. I will be on again tomorrow, 7 p.m. And I'm going to try my damnedest because I may be taking some time off during the Christmas time. I'm going to try my damnedest to do a show every single day until December 20th. That's like 20 shows in a row. I'm going to try to do a show every day for 20 days. I don't know if I can, but I'm going to try. If I can do that, that will be the longest I've ever done shows in a row, period. We'll see. All right, guys. Thank you so much for today. We'll see if I can make it. I will see you all